Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I want to go through with you this Leetcode 128 longest consecutive sequence. So we are given an unsorted array of numbers, and we need to return the length of the longest consecutive element of sequence. So and also we must write an algorithm that runs in a big O n time. So that immediately does not allow me to sort the array because that takes n log n time. So let's take a look at this example here. So we got 104, 200, 132, and the longest consecutive element would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So and this 100 and this 200, they just stand alone. That's why they are not consecutive. And in this case, in here, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 7, 8. So there are 9 numbers. And this question was asked by this company, so it's very popular. I'm going to go through with you my solutions now. So we obviously we need to look up the number, and a set is more efficient than the number. I mean the list. That's why we need to convert that to be a set. Oops. That's what I did for the first in the first step. And then we have a maximum length. To begin with, will be 0 here, and then for each number in the set, if n minus 1 is not already in this in num set, and then we do the following. So, and why we need that? Because this statement, this if statement, allows us to grab the head of each of the cluster. So what I mean by that is, if n minus 1 is not already in the set, that means that n itself is the minimum, is the minimum in that cluster. So for example, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 clusters in here. So it's a key, by cluster I mean the number that are close to each other. So 99 is close to 100, 100 is close to 101, and 1, 2, 3, 4 they are close to each other, and 200 and 201 and close to each other, and 1 is just by itself, right? So we have 4 clusters in here. And if n minus 1 is not already in the num set, and that means, for example, 99, there's no 98 in this set. That's why 99 is the lowest number in the set, in the cluster. And in this case, 1 is the lowest number in this cluster. And in this case, 200 and 1 is by itself. That's the lowest. So if the n minus is not already in the num cluster, that's why n is being the smallest number. Again, it's the smallest number in that cluster. And what we do is to have the current pointer, and it will be n plus 1 will be the next number, right? So for example, I'll do grab the lowest one is 99, the next one will be 100. In this case, the next one, the current pointer right now will be 2. The next one, the current pointer right now for this case is 201, and the current pointer for this case will be 11, right? Because we just add 1 to the n. And the current length will be 1. I mean, just a starting point. Because for any of the cluster, we have at least 1 element. That's why the current length will be 1. And while the current pointer is in the num set. So for example, for this one, the current pointer being 100, and this one, the current pointer is 2. The current pointer will be 201 because n plus 1, right? So in this one, the current pointer is 11. If the current pointer is in the num set, we increase the current length because now we have at least 2 elements in that cluster. And at the same time, we increase the current pointer by 1. So we look in at the next pointer. So we look at the next element of the cluster. If that's still in the num set, we increase the length. So we just do it in the loop. And after we have finished all the cluster, and then we update the maximum length, right? So we have So this allows us to do that. So let's run it. So it runs is pretty efficient, and in terms of the time complexity, it runs through, as you can see, for example, if we have like k clusters, so the worst case will be each number will be distinct from each other. So each one number will have its own cluster. So for example, if the worst case would be like 1, like 3, 9, 11, and 20. So each one of the number will be its own cluster, and that's the worst case. And then we will run the while loop. No, we won't run a while loop in that case because it's only itself. And so that's one extreme case. Another extreme case would be where it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everything is just has only one cluster, and we will run this while loop until we loop to the end. So in that case, we will run it only one time because when we grab the head of the cluster and then we just run it, and then after that we exit from the while loop because we will not execute it by this if statement, right? So the average case will be the number of cluster times the length of the cluster. So that's the average, and for this case, we won't run the while loop at all. So it will be just big over n. And for this case, we only run the while loop one time. So it's big O of the length of cluster. So that's so much for this my solution. I hope you like it. And if you do, please like and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.